In July 1998, I decided to make a film about peace. Then I realised there was no day of peace. That was it. I was going to try and establish the first ever annual Peace Day. A day of global ceasefire and non-violence. A day for everyone to become involved in the peace process. If I failed, the film could make a profound statement about a world unwilling to change. If I succeeded, well, that was almost inconceivable.
September 21st is the annual United Nations International Day of Peace, also known as the World Peace Day. On this day, a global ceasefire and non-violence is observed by all 192 member states of the United Nations. Imagine, all weapons are laid down for 24 hours in honor of peace. Even more remarkable, however, is the story of how World Peace Day really came to life. It was approved by the leaders of the United Nations and supported by many more, but it all began with one determined individual. Mr. Jeremy Gilley, award-winning British filmmaker, is the founder and chair of the non-profit organisation Peace One Day. Mr. Gilley's mission has been to document on film his amazing 10-year journey to establish the World Peace Day and the remarkable achievements made thereafter.
I came up with the idea for Peace One Day because I am a filmmaker. And I wanted to see if I could use the form of film in a constructive way. You know, could I use it to make a difference? Could I use it to answer fundamental questions for myself, like, you know, is humankind, fundamentally evil? Is the destruction of the world inevitable? Should I have children? You know, is that a responsible thing to do? You know, I'm deeply concerned about what's going on in the world, and I thought, well, through my work, through the making of a documentary, maybe I can answer questions for myself and therefore for the viewer as well. As I was thinking about peace, I was realising, well, where's the starting point for peace? And then, of course, I thought that, well, there isn't a starting point for peace. There isn't a starting point for global unity. There isn't a starting point for a sort of moment of intercultural cooperation, a scale that humanity's never known before. In fact, there was no peace day, and that was it. Could I make a film about trying to establish the first ever day of peace on the planet, the first ever ceasefire non-violence day with a fixed calendar date?
With this specific goal in mind, Mr. Gilley set out around the world, and especially into areas of conflict, such as Burundi, Somalia, Gaza in Palestine and Sri Lanka. He also met with government leaders, United Nations officials and humanitarian workers to discuss with them the idea of having a global peace day. At the time, the United Nations already had a 1982 resolution for an International Day of Peace, but it had never been observed.
We need something to grab. We need to grab hold of a concept. It's still too up in the air. It's still too lovey-dovey. The cynics will say, Jeremy Gilley, the tree hugger. Crazy man, has crazy ideas. World peace. Give me a break.
But you know that the same people who are calling me the tree hugger are saying the same thing about the building. You know, that we're in, right? And that's the whole point. We need to stop people from believing that these things aren't possible. You know, this is the United Nations International Day of Peace, which has not been observed, and the resolution has never been supported. I'm not being rude, I'm just saying there's a lot of people out there that I come across them like, UN, okay, yeah, right, we've still got war.
Good luck.
Through time, I think it will become more and more effective. What do you think?
To come to 100%, you need a lot of time.
Yes.
But I think the great thing is at least we've done something for the next generation.
Yes.
If there is a cessation for a day, then it gives us an opportunity to move supplies safely through places that are otherwise difficult.
This is my suggestion. When you go around the world and find a group of people who will do what you do in their country,
Yeah.
then go to another country and do the same thing, so it'll make everything more powerful.
Yeah. How old are you?
16.
So you're about to leave school soon?
Yeah.
Will you do it for me? I was travelling around speaking to people saying, is this a good idea? Going into areas of conflict, talking to humanitarians, saying, look, could this day have any, real practical benefit, to individuals? And the answer was yes. If you have a day of peace, you can immunise children, you can move aid, people won't be killed because they won't be fighting. Children in schools can be inspired and empowered because they've got a starting point for their actions for a more peaceful world. So there were lots of benefits to a peace day, the day that unites the world.
When we return, we will learn how Mr. Gillies' efforts bore fruit and the International Day of Peace was finally established. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to Enlightening Entertainment and our programme on Peace One Day, and how one concerned citizen and dedicated filmmaker worked to establish the first ever day of ceasefire and non-violence in the history of humankind.
I visited Gaza, I visited the West Bank, I saw Shimon Peres because I asked all Nobel laureates for a statement about peace. Peace One Day is not saying who is right and who is wrong. In our hearts, we know if someone dies, it is wrong. The Arab League has an incredible opportunity to demonstrate to the world its commitment to peace by calling for ceasefire and non-violence on the first ever UN ceasefire day. I honestly come here for you to make history. I ask you to lead the world, and I will document that journey. I thank you so much for this opportunity.
Eventually, Mr. Gillie received support from Nobel Peace Prize laureates such as His Holiness the Dalai Lama, former Costa Rican President Oscar Arias Sanchez, and Israeli President Shimon Peres, as well as from officials of the United Nations and the League of Arab States. Many of them saw the practical benefits of having a globally agreed Day of No Violence.
They could be the beginning of a deeper process. It has the practical impact of allowing access of humanitarian aid, access of information, freedom of movement, relief from the pressure and tension of not knowing where the next bomb or bullet may come from. That to me is an idea whose time has come.
Although we may not live, we may not enjoy that brighter future, but doesn't matter. This is the meant for humanity, meant for world. So no matter how how limited effect, we must make every effort for the promotion of peace and inner values. So I fully support.
I also wish to state categorically that we do support the Peace One Day program. This is a step forward in international relations.
The final step forward to establishing the Peace Day came when the filmmaker and self-made peace ambassador received an invitation to meet with the United Nations Secretary, General Kofi Annan.
Mr. Secretary General, do you support the creation of the first global ceasefire day in the history of humankind?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a great idea. Any moment, whether it's a day or a week, that we can give the combatants to pause, to think, and reflect on what they are doing to their own people and to the environment will be a great achievement. And I would support it 100%.
Secretary General Kofi Annan, he helped because he believed in it, and he gave permission for me to be able to tell the story and visit areas of conflict to be able to understand the benefits that the day could have. He was inspirational to the success of the campaign, and he was inspirational to me. That I had the opportunity to sit with him and hear his words and be encouraged by him. That sense of the importance of the individual is very important to him, that each and every person has a role to play. I'm grateful to him. To see Ban Ki-moon, the new Secretary General now, was obviously as well a great honour. He too knows the importance of individuals' place within the peace process.
At long last, in September 2001, the United Nations General Assembly unanimously adopted a resolution establishing an annual day of global ceasefire and non-violence. It would be observed every year on September 21st, the United Nations International Day of Peace.
So the world now has a peace day. It's the 21st of September. It's a day of ceasefire and non-violence. It's an opportunity for you as an individual to make a commitment to a more peaceful and sustainable world. And over the last few years, we've been travelling the world, orchestrating practical activity in areas of conflict such as Afghanistan, where my ambassador Jude Law has been travelling with me, going into Afghanistan, which has led to millions of children now over the last few years being vaccinated on that day because the humanitarians can get to them because they're guaranteed not to be killed. But also in the schools it's been working. So the day works, it saves lives, it empowers people, it inspires people, and it's a wonderful opportunity for our world to come together on the most fundamental issues we face, which of course is the protection of each other and the protection of our environment.
No wars will stop us singing. Our voices will stay strong. Even through the darkest night, we will sing our song. No fear will stop us dreaming. Our dreams will light the sky. Even when all hope is gone, our dreams will not die.
Thank you for having joined us today for part one of our two-part programme on the occasion of the United Nations International Day of Peace. Be sure to join us again tomorrow, September 21st, as we find out about the tremendous response of World Peace Day and the special films created by Mr. Jeremy Gilley as a testament to humankind's yearning for peace. Now, please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television for words of wisdom after noteworthy news. May your heart be filled with loving kindness.
On Peace Day, the 21st of September, there will be activity all over the world. Immunisation campaigns, football matches, children singing, families making up. You can find out all this information on www.peaceoneday.org. You can also use the site to make your own commitment, which we really hope you do. Many thanks.
For more details, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/EE